writing regularly in Tamil and English. His short stories, poems, and numerous articles have been translated into Indian and international languages. Our first guest is also a reputed journalist. He is a pioneer in Tamil news telecast, being the founder editor of Sun News Channel, the first 24 hours dedicated news channel in Tamil. He was a regular broadcaster with the BBC Tamil service for over a decade. He has accompanied our Prime Ministers Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and our President Mr. K.R. Narayanan on their state visits as part of their media delegation. He is the recipient of Lee Kong Chian Research Fellowship, recipient of Sahitya Academy Award for his translation works, and Lifetime Achievement Award from Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha and the Government of Tamil Nadu. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Maalan Narayanan, our chief guest for today's evening. May I now request our chief guest of the event, Mr. Maalan Narayanan, to say a few words, please.
Friends, I deem it a honor and a privilege to be here to speak on a contemporary writer of the Indo-Anglican genre. And I profusely thank Amshan Kumar, my longtime friend for over half a century, for giving me this opportunity. When I came here, I recalled one of the conversations I had with one of my Bengali colleagues some time back on a cold January morning when we were having the breakfast. We were talking about the writing for children or the children literature. Naturally, the talk drifted to Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray, everyone knows, wrote for children too. Satyajit Ray, when he inherited the magazine Santesh from his grandfather, he started writing science fiction in that. Because Satyajit Ray believed it is necessary to inculcate the young minds in science. So what he attempted was, he was trying to blend seamlessly science and art. He wanted to give a scientific temper to the art and a humane approach to the science. So he started writing science fictions in Sandesh, and some of you might have read it. The very popular, very famous story was The Alien. The Alien is a story in which an alien, an extraterrestrial, comes to a village in Bengal. He lands his vehicle in a lotus pond, and the villagers who got up in the morning and saw that, and they think some temple has erupted from below, and the story goes on like that. he develops an intimate relationship with a boy who Ray calls as Haba in Bengali, which I think means dull-headed, dumb, or an idiot, something like that. So the story ends like this. When the alien leaves, when they are the last part of the story is, the alien will start riding a bicycle, and the bicycle will start flying, and this dumb boy will be saying, "Look, Ang," the alien's name is Ang, A-N-G. "Look, Ang is going back home." This Ray wrote somewhere in 1961 or 1962. Many years later, the well-renowned director Spielberg, when he made Extraterrestrial E.T., plagiarized this scene exactly like this in his film. And later on, a plagiarization of another plagiarization, Mani Ratnam used this in one of his films in a song sequence, I think Anjali. So when we were talking about this, I asked my Bengali compatriot that, what do you think about this shameless plagiarization of Spielberg? She told me, "Maalan, why we should think like this? Look at this from this angle. Bengal has always given to the world whatever they know, whatever they think, and whatever they create. And we take pride in that. And the world has, in turn, has recognized us and honored us, and we take pride in that." She started saying one after another. She said, Satyajit Ray was the first Indian to receive an Academy Award, this Oscar Award. Many years before that, Rabindranath Tagore was the first Asian to receive an award from another academy, Swedish Academy, the renowned Nobel Prize. It was Narendra, well known as Swami Vivekananda, who made the world to realize our traditional values, and it was Jagadish Chandra Bose who made a contribution to the plant, made a contribution saying that plants have life. And in turn, we have been honored. Rabindranath Tagore gave national anthem not only to India but also to Bangladesh. So she was saying, "Maalan, why we should not look at this like this, and we don't have anything to feel grudge about it." I remember Bengalis have also contributed and pioneered a new genre to the Indian literature, which is called Indo-Anglican literature. The first Indian to write in English was Raja Ram Mohan Rai. And even before Macaulay introduced and promoted English education in India, a first volume of Indo-Anglican poetry was published in 1836 by Kashi Prasad Ghosh. And the first English novel was written by none other than Bankim Chandra, the Rajmohan's wife. That was the novel. And of course Tagore. I think Tagore influenced every Indian language in one way or other. Even in Tamil, the so-called first Tamil short story, which is hailed as a first Tamil short story, was an adaptation of Tagore's short story. Tagore wrote a story called The Story of the River Stars It was a story. What Tagore's story was, Tagore wrote a story as if the stars were telling a story to the reader. It was about a young widow who finally commits suicide in the river, and the river stars narrate the tragic story of that girl. The supposed to be the first modern Tamil story is called Kulatangare Arasamaram, and it is about Arasamaram, a pupil tree, narrating the story of a young bride who commits suicide in the river. And then if you make a list of pioneers in the Indo-Anglican literature, it may be Tagore, it may be Bankim Chandra, it may be Aravinda Ghosh, who wrote Savitri, and the list is endless. Compared to that, we have K.S. Venkatramani, R.K. Narayan, R. Parsardi, A.K. Ramanujam. There are very few whom you can count with your fingers. But that void is filled to some extent by Ms Sunipa. Sunipa may be a Bengali if you go by her mother tongue, but for all practical purposes, I would rate her as a Madrasi. I would rate her as a Tamil because she spent close to half a century in Madras and Puducherry. She has handled the rich legacy she has inherited in a very admirable way. I admire at her diction. In a creative work, every word should emote something, as if every scene should emote something in a play, and every shot should emote something in a film. And she has done that very admirably, and that makes the whole book very interesting. To write short stories, there are two challenges in short story writing. One is, short stories do not provide ample room or scope for characterization like novels. In novels, you may create, develop a character throughout the novel. But in short stories, because of the constraint of the space and of the format, you don't have an opportunity to create characters, but you can imply the characters through their attitudes, reactions, and behaviors. She has done that very well. In the story in which she talks about two adolescent people. One is a girl, one is a poor girl, a more vulnerable girl who studies in a school, and she lives in an apartment complex where there is a boy who seems to be an adolescent and who is stalking her, who is trying to he is attempting to sexually assault her. In that story, Sunipa goes to try to tell us that it is all the time the women, they bear the brunt in such occasions, even if anything serious is not happening. The society our culture is to blame women for that, and they become the victims of gossips. That's what Sunipa is trying to say. But the way in which she has narrated both the characters, is extraordinary, because she is narrating them only through their emotions, only through their reactions, only through their perceptions. And some of her stories were read now. One of the biggest advantage she has, because of the mastery over the language, she adopts a technique which is quite prevalent in journalism. In journalism, we have a technique called show, don't tell, which means you have to make a word picture so that the reader can himself create a mental picture to be there. This was the norm much before televisions come. Now in televisions they create a visual, and one major difference in these two is television gives you a visual which is common for everything. If you see a sunrise in television, it is the same sunrise for everyone who watches it. But if you read a sunrise in a fiction, you will imagine a sunrise to which you are familiar. It may be a sunrise that had happened in Marina. It may be a sunrise that had happened in Calcutta. It may be a sunrise that happened in Delhi. It not necessarily to be the same. Coming back to this, there is a story called overtonal. See how he creates a word picture. She talks in a cinematic language. Close up. A white bedsheet, the red of fleshly applied altar, the mark of a married lady on the feet of the dead woman. A breeze blows the window curtain into the frame. Camera tilts, following the receding curtain, to medium shot of mourners of the body. From left to right, Ratin, the son of the deceased, gently stroking with his surgeon's hand the hair of his elder sister, Ratna, who was her arms around their father. See, in few words, she has created a picture for you to travel along. This is one of the challenges a short story writer faces, because of the constraint of the length, because of the constraint of the format, he is in a compulsion to invite the reader into his story with very few words, which she has highly accomplished. I do not want to make a comment on every story here, and you should read, you should brood over, you should ponder, you should enjoy the stories. And for the first time, I'm reading her, and Amshan has said in his foreword that this is a rich contribution to the Indo-Anglican literature. I fully endorse that. I once again thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you so much.